Is Timbaland's use of AI in creating a new AI artist and label exploitation or innovation? I'm Sean with New Old Heads Podcast and Bringing Down the Band. And this is a video of my Unpack series where I go deeper into New Old Heads segments and talk about things that maybe I missed or go deeper into certain stuff. So this particular segment is about Timbaland's use of AI. We went deep on it on episode 440. So let's go ahead and get into the video, and then we'll get into the rest of everything else.
Mr. Timbaland has started an AI wave, and apparently he doesn't care what people think about that. So he's going to start he's launched a new label called 𝗕𝗔𝗡𝗗. It's an AI-influenced entertainment company, and this comes as a result of him experimenting with the AI program Suno.
Suno.
Is it Suno? Sorry, typo there. I put the O, so my bad. So Timbaland claims that this will lead a new genre of music called A-pop, and he also detailed how the songs for the AI artists are made by putting demos into Suno, which then turn them into voices and melodies without using actual singers or musicians. So he's going to submit some demos. I guess this does the trick and then spits it back out.
So it seems like from that, what that suggests, based upon what Mike just read, is that, let me just reiterate this, Timbaland, or somebody such as himself who is not a singer, could go in there and kind of sing the idea that he wants. It will take the way that he's saying it, and then you'll be able to attach a specific voice on top of it. When it comes to how they're singing it, it would be derived from the input that was uploaded to the AI. I don't really have a problem with that. But where's the voice come from?
So when I initially saw the AI artist, I said, this is going to be real bad. That was my initial thought.
He did a live a couple days ago with Young Guru. I know 𝗕𝗥𝗓𝗡𝗚 joined. There was a couple other people that joined on. Ray Daniels, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was like 4.5 hours long. I caught a very small piece on TikTok. And yeah, it was like 4.5 hours long. I caught some of it in real time. I made that video that didn't realize I was going to say that. You guys may have saw about it because it was like kind of infuriating listening to the justifications. But this is one particular moment that you picked out, Mike. So let's watch this.
One of the things that one of my guys said was he heard Mickey say something, right? Where he was like, yo, music is hard to make. And I was like, yeah, it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be something.
Are you damn right supposed to be hard?
I don't know if I really agree with it. Music is supposed to be hard. I think that's just, and I know I'm splitting hairs here with just like how I'm saying this, but I feel like they're saying it's supposed to be hard because there needs to be some sort of gate, you know, like, or some sort of like, you need to be able to put time into it. You need to put care into it. But that, as opposed to something supposing to be hard, are two different things. And I think language is important here. I think the most important piece in a creative is what's in their mind. And whatever helps the creative get what's in their mind out, I think is great. I do think that is important to understand theory to a degree. I think it's important to understand how to do things, you know, to a degree. I'm somebody who teaches music production, so obviously I have these thoughts, you know, and feelings, and I think there's an importance behind an individual who's going through the process to learn. I think that's important. It took me a very long time to get good at making music. It doesn't take any of my students as long as it took me to get good. And that's not, I think I'm fine with that because the tools are better now. But I would also say there is something to be said about like the time spent while bored, or the time spent while just like, not everything is just a task. It's just like, all right, oh, this does this. Oh, this does this. Oh, this does this. There's something to be said about like developing your creative identity within trying things out. And that can't be lost. I think that's important. And I think you can only develop that with time and trying out different things within a program or you know, and experimenting in that particular type of way. I think it can be done with tools, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it has to be hard. I just think that particular piece is important.
It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be something you gotta learn. It's supposed to be something that you gotta put a lot of time into.
Yeah.
I'm not with
So he clarified a little bit there at the end.
the T-ball. I'm not with the participation award. I'm not with that. This is why we have Grammys. You got to come in this thing and really figure out what the game is, how to make the best music, how to work in the industry.
I kind of disagree with that too, because Grammys, the industry, it's all exploitation at this point anyways. It's like people that want to be a part of something that is exploiting everything. The music industry doesn't care about artists. It cares about money and bottom line. And yeah, I'm splitting hairs a little bit here, but because I feel like his overarching point, and the overarching point here is care about your craft, but how they're going about saying it, I don't really agree with.
So I'm like, it's supposed to be hard, bro. It ain't supposed to be easy. Now, with that said, if there's certain tools that make it easier, I understand that. My whole thing is just to not replace the human work. Them hours that you got to put in of learning an instrument, all the things that a kid gets from learning guitar, learning piano.
That was very important when he said the things that the kids get from. It's less about knowing how to be really dope with as a guitar or whatever. It's more so about that process.
Learning how to work with people. It's the same thing as sports. It's like sports ain't just for the win. Sports is for you to learn how to work with people, learn how to be under a coach. You, Tim, as the coach of coaching Aaliyah, coaching Genuine, coaching Missy. As great as Missy is, you was the coach. I think that's the point that's getting missed with people not understanding what you're doing. And that's why I had questions, and that's why I came on here.
Somebody said Timbaland be up here stealing people music and
Yeah, that's what this is.
training people music.
We already addressed that. Yeah,
No. Guru, I don't think I think I did, but it's me. Like
no.
But it's me. I'm here to upgrade you. Why would I want to train off of something that I'm helping you get better on? If I had an AI company that you can upload, I can train you. I can't do that.
You still need millions of songs.
I can't train you. I can just listen to your music. I can't do that. I can't.
I just real quick, that's what Suno does. Anyways.
I think you need to make that point.
Yeah, and so that's what Suno does, and that is literally the AI that he's using. The AI is doing that. What are we talking about?
Clear, Tim, because the music, let me say this, the platforms are being trained off of music, but you need to make a separation between you're not doing that versus the rest of the AI is doing that.
But that's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. It's just one person that's utilizing it in a very particular type of way, but it still comes down to the fact that he wants to create something that's going to replace artists. That's bad for the creative economy. We have to also keep in mind, what is the AI model training from? What is it training from? If this is specifically, right? If this is specifically something that Timbaland has created with Suno or with some other thing, where it is 100% pulling in vocalists and musicianship that only Timbaland has made and worked with, and all of these artists have signed off on it that he's worked with, then maybe that's essentially kind of ethical. But if it's being trained off of anything that is not, that the artists don't know where it's coming from, or the people don't know where it's coming from, if we hear a realistic vocalist, Timbaland doesn't have a realistic vocal. He doesn't sound like a woman. Where's that coming from? That's the piece.
The rest of the AI is training off of our music.
Okay.
Lone, I could not wait when I saw this to just to talk to you about this first. I'm going to kick this to you first. As a creative, as someone that did everything Guru said, you went through the process, out the mud. I saw it. How do you feel about this new AI wave that Timbaland is clearly not backing off of?
I think there's a difference between using AI as a tool and using AI to replace creatives. And that's the short of it. What he is doing is replacing creatives. It will negatively affect the creative economy. I don't have a problem with him working with a singer, or him and a singer working together, or him and a bunch of musicians working together, and then them making a bunch of stuff, and then them making their things and then throwing it in there, and then hearing other different versions of it, and then making tweaks to it and doing stuff. To me, Which is essentially what I was just talking about, right? It's using it as a tool. You know? That's an evolution. That's an evolution of music. That's what a DAW is. You know, like Ableton, Logic. That's different than just having an MPC or something like that.
Serato.
For sure, Serato from just playing records. That's the evolution of it. The difference comes when you want to start a record label and you want to push an actual artist to take up space in a place that is already hard and already exploiting artists. You want to exploit artists even further, push them out even further by using a technology that is simultaneously extracting information and wealth, I should add, that is not paying the artists, and then you're utilizing that and then making something new. This is good for Timbaland.
Yes, 100%.
It's also good for the tech companies and stuff like that. Not good for artists.
The creative economy.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
So that's my general. And what I mean by like the creative economy is like, it's all around the conversation of like, do we, as we've talked about this a lot on the New Old Heads. This is one of my points that I tend to kind of like, tends to be one of my things. Like, this is one of those narratives that I like to push. This is my propaganda, if you want to call it that. We love creatives, creative works, stuff to do in our leisure time. We love listening to music, watching movies, all this stuff, playing video games. But when it comes to valuing the people that are creating this thing, we as a modern society with technology don't really value the people that are making it. And there are still a lot of people making a lot of great art, even though capitalism, if you will, is focused on creating the best experience for the consumer at the behest of the creative. The creative gets priced out. The creative gets pushed away, even though the creative is the person that is creating the value. It's just like labor and socialism and that particular type of thing. The creatives are getting the economy of what it means to be a creative in any type of field, to come up with an idea, share it with people, expand it, grow it, and everything that is a part of that. It lessens it. And I'm not saying that it has that there's not a balance between the two, but there needs to be a distinction between what this stuff is and what the creatives are, so that we can protect the creative, so that we can blossom as a culture, like a humanistic culture, society, you know, like, unless y'all are trying to be like those people on Wall-E, you know what I mean? Like, that are just sitting on a ship doing this all the time, you know, like, unless y'all trying to do that. But like, no, I'm always going to advocate for the creative in an authentic way. Thesis on it. So that's how I feel about it. You know, like, I think there's a way to do it ethically. I think we don't have anything in place to regulate it right now.
Not even close.
And I have problems with the way that he's approaching it.
I think if you watch, I watched, like you said, it was 4 hours, but I wanted to see his reactions to how he was being questioned. Mm-hmm. You know, Guru was very respectful. Nobody was yelling or anything, but as more people started to pop up on the screen, I wanted to look at him and see how he was reacting. And everything that I saw was very nonchalant. It wasn't someone cut a edit up of him going to the bathroom like 25 times. Yeah. Like, he wasn't that engaging, or
I don't know. It's very ego. It's just, it gives off ego. It gives off super strong ego. And, you know, that's just an observation. So
when people would pose certain things, there was no rebuttal really. It's just like, yeah, okay, yeah. And that bothers me, because you really believe, like, he really believes what he's saying. Like,
I think look, I don't know Timbaland, you know, like, so I don't want to judge his personal character.
Sure.
But what he's presenting is exploitation. What he's presenting is acting dumber than he is. Like, even the end of that clip where he's like, well, what you're doing is different from what these AI companies are doing. No, it's not. It's not. Nope. And Timbaland knows that. He knows better.
Guru was made of nothing.
I think that's my biggest problem with it, is just the principle of it. Like, he does know better. He's trying to be first. Like, this is just transparent. It's easy for us to see. That's why so many people are pushing back. It's just like, he's trying to posit himself in this way to where, like, he's bringing in some type of innovation. And like the technology's been around for a minute. Do you think that I haven't thought about, like just me? Do you think I haven't thought about starting an AI label with AI artists? Yeah, it came in my mind a couple of years ago, and I was like, that's garbage. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know.
Another great point about the difference between, the concept of sampling records and paying artists, clearing samples so they get their just due, right? And he even used Timbaland as his own example. He's like, bro, you flipped I Can't Stand the Rain. That was you being creative and giving the sample clearance and the credit. So even he couldn't say anything to that one because he's like, yeah, I did. But just the exploitation, and then you have to think about it from the standpoint of a creative. So now the AI music can be shopped for the commercial or the ads. Like, you're cutting out a huge part of the system.
Yep.
And there are a lot of
taking away jobs from a lot of people.
Yes, there's so many people that this affects. Sound libraries, all this type of stuff. People that get placements through these, through these shows or whatever. Those are their creations.
And I think from and I don't know where I'm about to go here because I think I'm going to reply to this, but this is a very deeper societal conversation than just Timbaland and AI and the music and the creator economy. Like, the bigger conversation about this is, where are we going as a society? Like, if we are in a society to where creatives don't have to make money off of their creative works, and a creator can just exist and create cool stuff for the people that want creative stuff from creatives, think of a utopian society, right? Whatever. Or think of a society where AI is doing most of the jobs, is creating most of the wealth, and so that wealth can be distributed equally to some degree out to where, like, us as humans don't have to live to work. You know what I mean? Or, excuse me, don't have to work to live. We can just work if we want to. We can focus on our passions. We can do the things that are interesting to us, like, and people can work on things if they want to. You know what I mean? Like, that's a different type of societal approach to where, like, I believe that if Timbaland or like this idea of ID and this AI label, I feel like if society existed in that type of way, then I wouldn't have issues with this, because it's just something that he wants to do to, be creative and all this stuff that he's preaching. This is a new way of creativity. It's blah, 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 blah. But so much of this is rooted in the idea of capital. And let's be first. And let's not let the tech bros exploit us. Let's get there before the tech bros do, so we can exploit it, so we can be the exploiters. And that is fundamentally my problem with this. It's like, you're not doing this because you care about the creative nature of it. You're doing this because you want to be first and you want to make money off of it. This doesn't benefit the creator economy.
Now we just plugging stuff in. What are the shows going to do? They're going to say, oh, this is easier. I can just go grab the AI music. I don't have to deal with the producer, splits, royalties, and just put it on the show.
Yeah, this turns into a even bigger music monopoly, because people are going to follow suit. That's the only thing that I can give him peas on, is being one of the first people in line to create this situation. Other than
to exploit the situation.
That's the only peas that he gets on this.
And I revoke the peas.
But I mean, a great producer such as Timbaland, again, it feels like he's dropping the ball creatively, because he's been in this AI pocket for a long time.
Yes.
He's been leading up to introducing us to his AI artists that he's going to create an album for, I'm sure. I feel like he lost his personal spark, and he's using this situation in order to kind of get some of that back.
I feel that too. And also because we have a segment from a few months ago talking about how Timbaland essentially alluded to no human being inspirational to him or inspiring him or feeling like anything new's happening. And like, that's his personal prerogative. But the assumption there is that humans aren't creating great music right now. And that's just not the case. So this feels like Timbaland is just uninspired, to Terry's point. Like, it's just like, it seems like it's a him thing, and he's, he has the power to do all this stuff. So he's, just like Elon Musk in his particular things that he, like, when you have a lot of power, you have the power to do bad things on a big wide scale. And that's kind of what this is. If this was just me doing it, or if this was somebody else who was smaller doing it, it would still be wrong, but it wouldn't have the same type of effects, the same type of ripple. With great power comes great responsibility. And no, that's not a Spider-Man quote. That was quoted from somebody else. So anyways.
He's not using all of himself. He's not in a lab creating a song and having to cut and chop cricket samples now. He's allowing somebody else's, he's allowing a system to do it. So that's where it fails to me. And it is, I don't know, man. It's kind of comparable to where things have gone even in the DJ world. Because I actually seen a conversation online about somebody talking about, well, you can't be really that mad at it because there will be a lot of DJs that weren't DJing if it wasn't for Serato. And that's absolutely true. Like, you can put a stack of records in front of a DJ and they wouldn't have an idea of what to do with it. They wouldn't know how to drop a cue on with a needle or nothing.
Sure.
That's all based on innovation. And people have used it correctly.
Right.
But it also opened the doors for a lot of people to just be like, hey, I'm going to DJ now. Just because I can. I don't have to pretty much afford or buy all these records and equipment. I don't have to carry anything. Everything was made easier.
I think that's an important part, the accessibility. Like, and I think accessibility is a good thing. You know, like I want more people to be able to do the things. I just want, personally, people to care. You know, like sometimes you hold, like if you're a DJ and you came in and you were DJing with vinyl and you had to carry record crates out to everything, sure, you're going to, there's a different level of care and desire you have for the craft and a love for the craft of DJing if you're lugging crates out to venues, as opposed to somebody who just might show up and wants to look cool in front of people. You know, like there's a different, those crates, lugging crates and getting nice on vinyl takes a little bit more effort. And because there's a little bit more effort involved, the people that are doing it innately, essentially, they have to care more. Like you have to care more. So it's like kind of implicitly, like kind of, well, it's just kind of baked into it a little bit more, you know, and the easier things get, the easier it also is for just casuals to be a part of it. And then to eventually represent a culture of turntablism, for example, or like, can you be the face of turntablism and DJing if you've never played on vinyl? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of wild to me. But anyways, that's kind of where.
Yeah. Okay. But it's a little different to me personally when we're talking musically and you're literally just eliminating artists altogether. What ended up happening is there'll be AI DJs and it'll eliminate DJs altogether. You know what I'm saying? They'll just, all right, I don't want to pay a DJ. I'm going to get online and find an AI DJ. I'm going to give it the type of music that I want to hear and tell it the style of mixing I want to hear, and I'm going to just let it go.
Yeah.
You don't think that's going to happen?
That does not sound far-fetched at all.
No, now that you've
bro.
introduced that idea, it's probably, if it's not in the works, it's in the works right now.
That does not sound far-fetched at all,
because
bro.
somebody just got that idea from you.
Yeah. Timestamp this. This is the first I've heard of this idea. I work at a DJ school, so, you know, I'm around DJs all the time, but this is in the future. Yeah, I mean, but it goes down to the devalue. I've talked about this. We've talked about this, but this is something that I always harp on. It's the devaluation of creatives. In a cap. Is that a word? Devaluation? Capitalist system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. This is what it is. Like, even though Guru's kind of pushing back in this clip, he's not really pushing back.
No.
He's being a little bit too nice. Like, I appreciate the other people that came in and were speaking. Let me look up this Asian lady's name, because she actually, I made a short video on this, when I saw this in real time, and she liked the video. Jane Lee. Her name is Jane Lee, your indie mama, or Jane Lee Music _ on TikTok. Right? So she got on there and she did her thing. Like, she got on there and did her thing. She like represented for the creative. So thank you, Jane Lee. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. And she's live right now. And I don't know what she's talking about, but like there was some pushback like on that. But even to Mike's point earlier, what he was talking about, Timbaland didn't really seem to absorb anything. And I wanted like that hard pushback to come from somebody like Guru. You know, now granted, I didn't watch the whole thing, so I did see a couple moments where Guru kind of got heated and stuff like that, but I don't know. Maybe I just care too much. I don't know.
He wants to know how to do it too, honestly.
This is horrible for the creative economy.
Yeah.
Unless there is some type of regulation in place to where, like, to your point, Mike, when you're talking about placements, you're talking about all this stuff.
Yeah.
Movie scores. Maybe we can just do an AI movie score. Why? Yeah.
Fine. Okay, fine. But I want, if you used 0.3% of my music in this thing over here, I want to know it.
Yeah.
I want full traceability and to be able to track that all the way across everything. Here's one thing that I'm going to rewind this to when I get there, but this is a part where, like, when I'm speaking on this, I feel like people can come out and be like, well, what's the difference between this and sampling? Okay, right, because it's kind of the same thing in the sense that sampling music is taking pieces of something, and the people that are sampling the artists want to know what you're sampling. The main difference here, outside of some other things, is that the technology exists right now. This is early enough. The people being sampled know early enough, because of how everything moves, that regulation can be made in real time right away to cover this. The sampling stuff has started to overcorrect. There's things like TrackLib that exist. There are laws that exist in place that say that you need to do this with sampling. If you use somebody's work and you upload it to a distribution platform, cool. In there, you have to put who are the songwriters, which means that you have to register that song with a PRO, a performance rights organization. And in that performance right organization, they ask you who the songwriters are of the song. And if you are sampling somebody, you are legally required by law to list those people's names. Now, whether or not you do that or not is another thing, right? Then you're just breaking the law. But you are required to showcase that stuff. And the push needs to be the same for the AI stuff. So let me go back just a little bit here. If you used 0.3% of my music in this thing over here, I want to know it.
Yeah.
I want full traceability and to be able to track that all the way across everything. I want my publishing on everything that touches. I want my master recording on everything that touching. Sure, make it, but you're going to have to break off everybody that was used to make that, and you have to be able to track it.
Yeah.
It's got to be regulated.
The
Otherwise,
tracking is the part.
Yeah, and this is different. It's not the same as sampling. I know people like to say it's like
they want to so bad.
It's not, and it's bad faith to say that. There is a place for it, and I don't want to take away from the tools that are being created, because the tools make everything better, and that's okay. It makes, I don't care about the tools. Tools are great. Like, I'd rather hit a nail with a hammer than my fist. You know what I mean? Like, these things are important, but, like, let's not act like we don't see what's happening. And that's why I have a problem with what Timbaland's doing here, and that's why I have a problem with people that are defending Timbaland. It is in bad faith. It could be sheer ignorance. It could be malice. It could be ignorance, could be malice. Malice the same as bad faith. But I hope it's unconscious. Like, I hope that they understand it, but they don't realize the implications of it. I hope there's some level of ignorance there, and I hope that they are open to see the broader ramifications of such a thing.
Yeah, it's good. A lot of people are waking up today and they're like, oh, I'm going to be a producer now, and I'm going to just create my whole record label based off of just AI people, and I'm going to put it out, and this sounds like something easy that I can do, especially people that aren't very creative.
Yeah,
that's what kind of hurts a lot coming from Timbaland, actual creative that's so behind this and is spearheading this movement, but it's going to create a matrix in the music industry that nobody wants to see.
And I think that that's part of the conversation too. There's multiple points here. There's the economy of it, right? There is the economy of it, but then there's the other point that you're talking about, Terry, to where, like, we are going down this potentially inevitable path of further devaluating creativity. I feel like I've said devaluating. I don't even know if these are words. Either way, I'm coining them at this point, to the point to where, like, creatives aren't going to be able to make money. And if creatives aren't going to be able to make money, that means that we're just going to be consuming a bunch of AI stuff, and are we going to be okay? So I kind of referenced this earlier in this video where I talked about the capitalist and the idea of the model and the creative economy. So I won't go deeper into that now, but with that in general, you know, like, are they going to be people that are advocating for this? Are you okay with that? Like, are you okay? Like, are you going to go to the movie to watch the new Transformers and it was made by Bob the Robot? You know, like, I don't know. Like, maybe, is it just entertainment? Is that all that it is? Like, is there more that's important than just the consumption aspect of it? You know, like, how important is the creative nature of the stuff that we are, you know, taking in? How important is that? Like, that's such a, I think that's a really kind of at the root of a lot of this. It's like, again, it's the same thing that I've been saying about the value, about how do we value creatives and the creative aspect of things? Like, do we just care about the outcome, or do we care about everything that lives in between? Do we care about the process? You know, like, because even if I'm being 100% honest, like, if I'm a video game person, if a new game came out tomorrow that was written by AI, and it was like a type of game that I've been wanting for a very long time, would I be excited about it? Yeah, I would. I'm not a video game developer. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how that would affect the video game industry per se. I don't know how that mirrors the creative industry in this particular type of way. I do know that AI does threaten everything, right? And I do know that in general, as humans, we need to adapt. But I know that me as a consumer, I would enjoy that. But I also know that if I'm watching a movie and it was made by AI and it's got AI people in it, I know I'm not going to be interested in that. I know that if it's an artist out there that's making music, or a rapper that's using AI beats, or a producer that's using AI artists, that I'm not interested in that at all. It just seems corny to me. You know what I mean? So I don't know where that line is in general, as from a societal standpoint. Mm-hmm. How much value do we put in that?
You know, and I think artists, producers, singers, rappers, MCs, if you will,
writers,
you have to understand that if this is something that you want to do, you're going to have to work to get better. You're going to start off and you're not going to be good. I guarantee if you take Timbaland's, you know, some of the stuff he did when it was in the early part of his career wasn't any good. And that's not a knock on Timbaland, but that's everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody starts out being, I mean, there are some people who are just prodigies. Okay. Let's just be real. There are some people who start at, already.
I've taught some.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, this guy's already incredible. But, a lot of people, they find themselves creatively by bumping their head and not being good initially.
And I think that's kind of to that original point that I was talking about, that Guru was getting at, and that I kind of mentioned. It's like the time taken into it. Like that's the gold. That's the gold. It's like the journey, essentially. The journey of becoming a music producer, the things you learn on the way, how you learn them. You can't really rush that process. But with AI and with the tools that come out, it is going to be easier to rush it and miss those steps. And so the process of that is going to become less magical to newer people. So
I think that's where a lot of times people who want to get into the creative space, they get frustrated because in their minds, they have in their minds what they want to do, but they can't get it out yet just because they haven't really nurtured the talent to get it out, or it's not as easy as they thought it was.
And we live in a society or a place now where it's a TikTok, it's a scroll feed. Everybody wants every instant gratification because we need that dopamine hit. You know what I mean? So like it's harder for people.
It's going to be more work.
It's one of the lessons I literally teach in my class that I teach.
Yeah. So
I literally say this. Any old students that watch this and have heard me say this can verify. But like, I tell pretty much people once about week like 7 or 8 or 9, somewhere around, I was like, look, you have to embrace just kind of being an ass. You have to embrace not being good, because sometimes if you're a little bit older and you have these expectations of what you want to become, but you're learning this really complicated thing, that you need to give yourself time to grow. And very easy if you have high expectations to be like, man, I made this thing and it's not what I want it to be, and to just stop, and it's kind of society right now. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up in that type of, it's different from when I grew up even, which is crazy how fast everything's moving.
I think that's one of the things that we're cutting out, is we're like, okay, you're never going to get better. And so even if you find a way to manipulate the AI to fleshing out your ideas, really, how much of that is really your idea is just you being able to manipulate the software? Now, mind you, people are going to say, hey, using Pro Tools and a Serato. That is about manipulating software, but you have to already have a certain tool set and an ability. You could, if you could there's somebody who said something about DJing, about why we got to hear all these kind of songs, these certain songs that came out in 2010, and then why do you always got to go to this? I was like, because first of all, you all don't understand how hard it is to DJ for 2.5 to 3 hours. If you just play the 15 songs that are programmed on the radio, okay, that's going to get you through maybe a half hour. What are you going to do for the rest of that time? You have to have the skill set that enables you to DJ for longer. Than I've seen DJ people was like, oh yeah, I got my Serato, I learned how to mix, I'm gonna go ahead and rock a party. And after 20, 25 minutes, they're up there sweating because they don't know what to play after they played all the hot shit. And a computer can only do so much of that for you. I'm using the Serato example, just because that's what I'm most familiar with. Yeah. But it's going to be the same thing with what is.
Yeah, especially with DJing, there's a people element, right? There's like crowd control. How can you control a crowd? What is your music knowledge? Not only all that stuff, but there's just lots of elements involved that just can't be emulated by like robots. You know what I mean?
There's a software called that he's talking about plugging
Suno.
Suno. It doesn't matter how many upgrades they put into this. If you're not a good producer, if you don't know what key something's supposed to be in, if you can't hear, something is double time or whatever. I don't know all the terminology. Lone would be much better at that. But I'm just saying that there has to be something organic that comes from you to make it your own.
I don't know what I'm about to say here, but I would say with the AI stuff, it's not really the case. Like, you don't really have to know anything. I mean, you kind of do it to a small degree, but don't really, because you just have to know how to prompt. You just have to know, like, hey, make a beat that's kind of like this, that kind of sounds like this. You don't have to actually know how to do anything. You know what I mean? So I think the argument that we're kind of, again, I think it's two arguments here. Because I'm not even like anti it from. The thing is like I'm not even like full anti like people shouldn't be able to make AI artists. That's not even my angle. If you want to mess around and make an AI artist just for the fun of it, and you want to do some stuff too, I just think that there needs to be regulations in place, and there needs to be distinction to protect the creative class
and disclosure at that. One's like, this is AI generated content.
Yeah. I think there just needs to be that, because people are going to figure out a way. You can't like put it back in the box.
No,
it's
a wrap.
We just have to protect people, and if we're going to continually exist in this structure of type of society where there is a creative person and they're creating value, we have to protect those people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
This is just scraping the surface though, because this is going to equate to a lot of things in our life, and even more after we're gone. Like, imagine sports teams being all AI characters or robots and things like that, and their ability to do things is based off what the owners can afford, what kind of memory chips or, speed they can actually put in these players.
That sounds
I don't
more
see
like
that not
it sounds more like a video game, but who knows?
Happening. It's like everything's going to happen. Things that you never thought.
Which kind of already exists in video games when you think about like the downloadable content and the micro transactions, which aren't ethical either.
Out of hell, this is Terminator and Matrix level shit. Stuff that was made in the 80s, and you know what I'm saying? This stuff is coming to fruition. I mean, it's inevitable, and it's like, to your point, we got to learn how to use it without pretty much compromising the artist's intelligence and creativity as well, rather than just relying solely on this AI to come up with something.
I like the idea of, I think Jay, you both said it, talking about the specifics and disclaimer, because it gets very spooky when the AI artists and the regular creatives are on the same chart.
They've already started doing that, though. I know even with YouTube, like, you have to, I don't know if it's a requirement, but there's an option when you upload a video that says, was anything in this video, was AI used at all in this? I know of certain record labels, one that I kind of work with on the side on some stuff, on some creative related stuff, that they don't allow any type of use of AI at all, which I get it. Like not even like I don't even think they allow generative fill. That's kind of there, and it's becoming there, and that's part of it. But I really look at this as a societal thing more than anything, and everything seems like a Band-Aid.
Yeah, the same. Everything's the same. Nothing different from it. It doesn't say that it's AI. That right there is extremely dangerous. And I think we've all alluded to it. The scariest part about it is it's too late. It's already out.
And it's only going to get better.
It's only going to get better. Yeah. Jay, you mentioned still having to have some type of skill set as you submit to Suno or whatever. I honestly think as this progresses, that's not going to matter.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be more about what you can type in and how well you can describe what you want versus having the talent and then using it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, that's what AI is.
Yeah, that's what it's doing.
So I don't even think the talent part that's what's already being cut out. It's like, how well can I type a prompt and then boom, we off to the races.
Would be cool. It would be really cool if you had this thing you could just like you see like Black Mirror and stuff. Let's just attach it here, right? Then you have an idea and you just flesh out the idea in your head and then you print it somewhere. Like, who's to say that something like that won't happen soon?
Because it might just come down to, when we had the conversation about type beats.
Yeah.
Where built into the software is Timbaland type beat. I'm gonna put my
that already exists.
Bad keystrokes in there and my prompts, and then it's like,
you can already do that.
I want to, see, there you go. I'm already behind that.
Yeah. You can use that. And these companies are getting sued. So it's like, I've used them for sampling. Tried them out just to kind of see. I was like, well, let's see if I can have it make like a funk record, or let me see if I can make this. And then I took that out and then chopped it up and turned it into something else that, kind of a chop type style beat. I mean, you could argue the ethics of that, I guess, technically, because technically I am sampling something, but I'd be okay with contributing percentage points if it was, if the system was set up and be like, yeah, I sampled this. What was this sampled from? Blah, blah, blah. I think that's a good thing. Like,
yep.
You can go in there and type like, yeah, I want this type of feel from this type of thing. And they'll go out and they'll look and they'll make it. It already exists. This has existed for a while. I'm curious what exists that we don't have access to.
That part.
And I'm also curious about the paywall that's going to be behind this. Like if you want to make an AI artist, here's another element of it. Let's say you do want to make an AI artist. Let's say all this is ethical, which it's not. Let's say this isn't exploitation, which it is. It's still paywalled. So only people that have the money that can spend the credits to sit here and prompt it over and over and over again are going to be able to utilize and have access to this. Is why I say it keeps coming back. Like the AI stuff always goes back to a societal thing. It's like, how are we using this? Like robots, technology, all this stuff in a capitalist class. Capitalism has one goal: to make the most money with the least amount of labor as possible. And so this is not good across all fields and everywhere. Jobs are going to go away. They've already started to go away. What are we going to do with the people that are skilled? Especially when we're in a country that has the money to pay for it all. So it just depends, like, where are we going as a country? Where are we going as a society? As technology gets better, are we going to put pressure on these oligarchs? Like what's going to happen here? Political uprising through AI, the stuff that can make the music that way.
Man, as it gets more popular, prices go up.
And
it's a music monopoly.
Yep. Do you think Timbaland should be held? Do you think we should, let me rephrase that. Do you think we should question his loyalty to the creative process now with him being such a staunch believer in it and not backing out of it? Like, how does this make you look at him moving forward?
You know what? I think capitalism makes people think if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else.
Yep.
That's fair.
That's a lot of what this is.
That's why I gave him his P's for that.
Yeah,
and that
that's
only,
fair.
You know what I'm saying? For being one of the first people to do it. But yeah, this is going to create a couple of new categories musically. Of course, the AI music category.
I don't even think that that's like a thing to give peas about, though. Like,
it's just being somebody on the forefront in order to pretty much capitalize on it. And I'm not saying that means it's a good thing to give somebody peas for.
Yeah.
But I would rather, I can't say would rather, but I would hate to see somebody come up just from nowhere with this situation.
My really bad analogy here would be, is it better if Hitler exists as a German or Hitler exists as a Jewish person. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's the same mindset that I have. Like, the bad results are the same, you know, just because if that person hates Jewish people and he's a Jewish person, but he's still Hitler, he's still going to do the things, you know what I mean? You know, just like there's no ethical billionaire, you know, sure. Mark Cuban seems like a cool guy. You know what I mean? Jay-Z's a billionaire. We love Jay-Z, but you can't reach that status without a lot of exploitation, without a tremendous amount of exploitation. It's just not feasible, not possible. So, you know what I mean? Like, so like that was my pushback on that.
Rather than somebody that's actually been in the music business should actually understand why it's important that you probably shouldn't rely on it that much. But I don't know.
No,
I can, yeah.
Yeah, but when
I kind of understand.
Yeah, but when I say that, I'm not.
I fully understand. I'm just saying I get it.
Really, that's why I had to throw the caveat of, you know, capitalism in there, because I'm not really giving them peas for it, because, you know, the dope dealer says the same thing. He's like, hey, they're gonna buy this dope. They might as well get it from me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, when it comes down to even me, like, as I sit here, like, there are different, like, an idea that's formed in your head, being able to physically do it in a particular type of way. If somebody can go out there and be like, yeah, I want it to do and they can, like, I think the tools are cool. I think the tools are cool. I think the tools are great. It still takes effort. It's a little bit different as you approach it in that type of manner. I just think that the support needs to be behind the creatives that are doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you can get up there and be like, yo, can you make, let me be able to go like ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, but do this in like key of F, and I messed up that last note. I want that one to be, actually change these two notes to be up an octave and then come back down and stuff like that. To me, that's a tool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tool to me. You know, like, just because and I know that's controversial even in itself, but I think I'm not like anti-tool. I'm not anti-tool. I think tools make society and make everything better. It just depends on how it's introduced and approached and regulated. The person can't physically use the thing. All right, cool. That's their limitation. Yeah. Like, I'm not a guitar player, but I can play a guitar riff. You know what I mean? Like, I understand it. If I really want a guitar player for that, then I can go get one, you know? And then there's a little bit more value on that, but you know what I mean? But that is significantly different than what is being proposed.
Yeah.
So, but I think within this, I mean, the video is long as hell, but I think kind of covered everything. I hope my conclusion here is, I hope that I knew somebody was going to do it. I knew somebody was going to take it there. I think the cool thing about this being Timbaland is that because he's a part of the creative community and ecosystem, he can receive criticism a lot easier than a tech person can. It's going to connect with him a lot faster and have a lot more impact. So maybe the precedent can be set. Maybe he can. I feel like there's a lot of power in Timbaland's hands right now to do this the right way, and to do this in a way that isn't going to be exploitative. I think this is a way for him to get out there and advocate for all the things that need to be in place for this to be implemented. And I feel like he can get this done in the least amount of exploitative way as anybody else possibly could. So that goes to kind of Terry's caveat there, but at least it's Timbaland. But he has to execute. You know, he's got a lot of responsibility. There's a lot in his hands right now, and I hope that I hope that he's taking this serious. If you're watching, I hope that you're taking this as serious as you need to be, because this is critical. Sure, get your money, do your cool things, but there's a lot at stake. Anyways, this has been my Unpack series. This segment was from episode 440 of the New Old Heads podcast. You can get the uncut 2-hour version of that show exclusively on our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads. Till next time, peace.